our Northland Ford starting goaltenders in Buffalo tonight.
Well, Devan Dubnyk, he arrived and now he's set. Had a skate this morning. Feels good about his game. He's played well this season, and he looks at this as a great opportunity. Enroth, he hasn't played the last 2 games. He's been given, I guess, a little bit of a rest. He played in 19 of the previous 22 Buffalo games. So, yeah, he was a little fatigued, but he's ready to try and help Buffalo try and do something here. Wild want to answer both these teams looking for a win, something they haven't seen in a while.
Minnesota's lost 6 in a row, 0-5-1 over that stretch. Buffalo has dropped 8 consecutive, and they've won only 1 time in their last 13. They are 1-11-1 over their last 13 games, and we're underway in Buffalo. Brodin and Folin, the blue liners for Minnesota. Wild with only 1 left-hander among their 6 defensemen in tonight's game. Folin plays the puck to the corner. Erik Haula in check there. Vanek intercepts a clearing pass, and his shot deflects wide of the goal. First shift of the game. Mike Yeo goes with Vanek, Haula, and Pominville up front, allowing Vanek and Pominville, the 2 former Sabres, to spend this first shift together. Jason Zucker expected to be the left wing, along with Haula and Vanek throughout the night tonight. Folin across to Brodin, and ahead for Zucker, who deflects it into the netting in the Buffalo zone, out of play, and a whistle.
Well, Mike Yeo wants to end the frustration. That includes his own, but also with the players. They need to wipe the slate clean, obviously making a big change in goal, and see if that helps carry them at least initially. Nolan, well, the expectations are different for both of these clubs coming into this year and in this season. But Nolan certainly doesn't want to ride the losing streak either.
Tyler Myers with it for Buffalo. Plays it ahead for Torrey Mitchell. Mitchell, the former Wild forward, back to Myers. And up through neutral ice. It's deflected into the Wild zone. Nate Prosser back to pick it up. Prosser and Spurgeon paired together tonight for Minnesota. Spurgeon will play on the left side. Parisi into the Buffalo zone, and his extra move at the line forced Koivu in offside. Our Sanford Health injury report.
Well, Minnesota Wild have Falk out, although he was working out this morning, so that's certainly a good sign. Marco Scandella skating a little bit. That's also good. And Matt Dumba recalled from Iowa. He is one of the young guys that has a big future here with this organization. They wanted to send him to Iowa to let him play big minutes, big situations in the American Hockey League. He's done that, and hopefully he's back to show the Wild that he's grown.
Said he feels his game is as confident right now as it's been since he's been a part of the Wild organization. 12 points in 17 games with the Iowa Wild. Centering pass was broken up. Now a loose puck and a shot right on. Saved by Dubnyk. His first stop in a Wild sweater. A little bit of pushing and shoving after the whistle. Chris Stewart exchanging jabs with Kyle Brodziak.
Well, Devan Dubnyk's a big goaltender, and the Wild want him to use that size. I asked him, having played with Mike Smith, a goaltender who loves to be on the goal line, he said he was never asked to do that. He was a goaltender that when he came to Arizona, Sean Burke, who was their goaltending coach, did not tell him to play anywhere necessarily in the crease. He just said, read the play, be there before the puck gets there, and be as big as possible. So that's what you'll see from Dubnyk. He will challenge.
Here's a quick shot off a feed. Hodgson got it on goal, now has it back, plays to the point, but the shot there by Mazzaros was tipped to the corner. Matt Cook tied up along the wall. Stewart has it in the high slot, trying to center for Hodgson. It's deflected to the line, and now Prosser back to pick it up for Minnesota. Ahead for Matt Cook, who played to the line, but not out. Folin catches up with it in the corner and rims it around and out, but we'll get a face-off back in the Wild zone.
Well, we just talked about Dumba. Folin, of course, is young. You look at the experience that's in the lineup and that is out of the lineup. It's fairly significant. The Wild, and we've talked about this, missing some of their top 4 at some point in this season, almost on a regular basis.
And take note that all 4 of those guys listed on the outside of the chart, all left-handed. Suter, Scandella, Falk, Ballard, and that's why Mike Yeo tonight is forced to play with 5 righties among his 6 defensemen, unheard of in today's NHL. Usually teams desperate to find those right shot blue liners. Prosser absorbs a check along the wall. Sabres spending a lot of time in the Minnesota zone early. Brodin banks it ahead. It's tipped out to neutral ice by Carter. Sabres turn it back at center ice. Carter, Coyle, and Niederreiter, the 4th line for Minnesota tonight. Dubnyk leaves it for Brodin behind the net. Jonas Brodin starts out for Minnesota. Now it's Prosser with it. Prosser looking for a lane. His pass hit a skate, winds up back on his stick. And now Brodin plays ahead. Tipped into the zone by Carter. Carter hit there by Ristolainen. Pominville to Koivu along the wall. Back to Pominville in the corner. Koivu and Pominville trying to get the forecheck going for Minnesota. Parise breaks toward the net. Dumba across to Spurgeon. Spurgeon back for Dumba. Dumba winds, fires, and it's tipped by Pominville. Kicked out by Enroth. In the corner, Pominville keeps it alive for Minnesota. Parise tries to jam one in, and Enroth hugging the post denies the Minnesota winger. Parise fights off a check. Still with the puck, leaves it for Koivu in the corner. Best forecheck cycle for Minnesota so far. Dumba works his way out front, could not feed the point. Puck was knocked off of his stick, and the Sabres come away with it.
Good sequence there. You got to love what Parise continues to do, and that is jam the puck immediately towards the net. I like Dumba's quick release as well. It gave the Wild an opportunity with Pominville in front of the net.
Pominville across to Koivu, who plays it back to Spurgeon. And Spurgeon will reset things for Minnesota from behind the net. Dumba ahead through neutral ice. Vanek lost the handle on it, and it forces the Sabres in offside.
Well, winning is an attitude, and how you change that attitude or get that to your advantage is plays like this. You have to just be ready to willing to go to the areas that are not easy to play in. Typically, corners, the front of the net, in the slot. You're going to have to pay a price. Zach Parise has shown an ability, a willingness to do that time and time again. He gets a good jam in on the side of the net. Enroth made a good save. But what the Wild need after that is guys following up and trying to pick up that rebound.
Haula drops to Vanek. Vanek with a backhand centering pass. Knocked down by Zucker behind the net. He's run over on the play. That battle continues. Sabres come away with the puck. Tyler Myers plays it to Stafford, who whips it cross ice. Flynn in stride into the Minnesota zone. His shot was tipped wide by Myers and now scooped up by Vanek back the other way. Haula, the Wild with numbers at the line. Vanek stops, centers, and Haula was tied up. The pass was deflected by Flynn. Folin tees it up and fires, and a glove save by Enroth. Face-off coming in the Buffalo zone. A good chance for Minnesota on the rush.
Well, Vanek, we continue to talk about his ability to find guys in tough circumstances. This one just saucered, and just a quick little reach at the very end of that play. Otherwise, Haula had a great opportunity right in front of the net. He did not have a lane to shoot it in, so he looked for the next best option.
Vanek with 25 points on the season. He's been scoring much more regularly lately. Had 11 points in a 14-game stretch recently. Dumba's shot blocked, but Dumba's back to protect the puck. Across to Spurgeon, who then whips it ahead for Parise. Parise spins his way into the zone, lays it down to the corner. Barone got a piece of it, but the loose puck collected by Pominville. Back to Parise. Parise works out front, flips it up in the air, saved by Enroth. And then the puck is in, but waved off. It was punched into the net behind Enroth, but waved off immediately. Wild want to know why the whistle, and it looks like we're going to face off in the Buffalo zone.
Well, Parise again doing everything he can to get the puck to the blue paint. It rolls up the arm of Enroth. Watch this on the rebound as he bats it out of the air, but it's kicked in, I think, by Koivu at the last second there. And if that's not distinct, I don't know what is.
I thought Koivu hit it with the stick after he kicked it, and I'm wondering if maybe the whistle had blown with the official losing sight of the puck before this was punched in. They will take a look at it, but after Koivu deflected with the skate, I think he hit the puck with his stick.
Well, he did use his skate to get it towards the net. Let's take a look at this again to see right where it did cross the line and how. There's the shot, and then there's the kick. Oh, I don't know what it looked like. It was the skate that kicked it in. He did get a push on the stick with it, no question, but I think Enroth made that save. I believe the a kick underneath the pad is what propelled the puck into the net. They obviously have been looking at this already and will continue. Let's take a look again, and we'll give you a perspective of how the puck goes towards the net. I think that's his left foot. Definitely roll it back, and his stick is underneath, or at least in front of Enroth. So it was his foot that kicked it towards the net. But there was someone sweeping in behind him, but it's tough to tell, really.
Have to see if the puck deflected off that stick. The stick was there for Koivu. Tough to tell, and the officials did wave it off immediately.
I'm just wondering if Parise had circled in around behind him and shot it after it come off the pad from the Koivu kick. It looked like Parise was, and I think Parise was talking to the referee. He probably feels that his shot went in even after Koivu kicked it, and it did not. Because that puck went in with the kind of velocity that doesn't typically come off of a skate. And it looked like it got pushed in there pretty hard. Take another look at it and watch how hard the puck goes in the net. There's is that Parise around in behind? Yeah, a stick does come through there, and I believe it was Parise's. That looks like a good goal to me.
Review has determined the net was in the proper position when the goal crossed the line. We have a good hockey goal.
There you go. Yeah.
And the Wild grabbed the lead 1-0.
You were correct about it being shot. It's just that it was Parise, not Koivu. Koivu's skate kicked it, but Parise kind of snuck in around behind and banged away at it, and that is what shot the puck into the net. So they were looking to see that the net was still in its place.
So the Wild are on the board. A 1-0 lead for Minnesota. Rewarded for an outstanding shift by Koivu, Pominville, and Parise on the forecheck.
Parise made that happen, and he finished it off. Cut towards the net, jammed away at it, and then was like a dog on a bone there. He really was pounding away at the puck, looking for any bit of opportunity he could gain. And Zach Parise, as I guess no surprise, would be a big factor already in this game.
First point for Parise in the last 4 games. That since he missed a couple after the death of his father, JP. Koivu and Pominville credited with assists. For Pominville, that's now 21 points in his last 22 games. Charlie Coyle lays it back into his own zone. Full in there for Minnesota. Back for Coyle at center. Coyle gives to Niederreiter, who flips it in for Minnesota. Puck back in the Buffalo zone. Ristolainen is there. Up the boards, Brodin holds. Niederreiter wheels and fires, and that's steered aside by Enroth. Poland holds the zone. Ristolainen battling with Coyle in the corner. Mike Yeo hoping for improved play from a couple of members of this fourth line. Charlie Coyle and Nino Niederreiter, each a big part of the Wild's future. He's trying to ignite them.
Well, he's got him alongside a worker. With Carter out there, you know that it's going to be the kind of effort that you need from that line. Also physical.
Tyler Myers back in his own zone. Able to clear. Folin will go back to scoop it up for Minnesota. Folin and Brodin, the defenseman here for the Wild. These two have been paired together regularly lately in the absence of Marco Scandella. Now tonight you add Ryan Suter to those on the lineup for the Wild. These two figure to see heavy minutes. Sabres have to come back in their own zone. Myers picks it up and sets up behind Enroth. Wild have 8 of the game's first 9 shots on goal and a 1-0 lead on a goal by Zach Parise. Myers carries ahead for Buffalo, turns it over, right in the stick of Haula. Haula's in, drops it back, Zucker a drive and a save by Enroth. Penalty coming on the play. Erik Haula wound up with this puck on his stick and all kinds of time. Zach Parise has the Wild in front, 1-0 in Buffalo.
Welcome back to Buffalo. The Wild have grabbed an early 1-0 lead. Are getting set to go in the power play. Had a conversation with veteran forward Ryan Carter from White Bear Lake this morning after skate about the acquisition of Devan Dubnyk. He said, no question, when you see a general manager make a move in season, it wakes everybody up. It gives you a shot in the arm. We said it's important, though, for us not to relax and think that one player coming in is going to change anything. When you're struggling, you have to work that much harder. Mike, the old guys followed up by saying, yes, absolutely. We need a stabilizer in that blue paint, and this guy can certainly help us out. And he felt like after skate, the guys had a little extra step this morning because of it. And so far, one big save early and an early goal has helped the morale as well.
Yeah, not only that, the Wild forced a couple of shots at Enroth. He made a tremendous save on that Zucker shot.
Wild to the power play. Myers to the box. Koivu with a shot. It deflects into the corner. Parise and Koivu trying to keep it alive for Minnesota. The Wild just 1 for 15 on the power play over their last 5 games. Vanek plays it cross ice to Pominville. Pominville sets up along the wall. Pressured there. Goes to Vanek behind the net. Vanek tied up. Sabres emerge with the puck, and we're going to get a whistle and a penalty behind the play against Vanek.
Vanek did reach back and hook, and that's what he, I think, is going off for. Georges is hauled down there.
So Vanek to the box for Minnesota, and it'll create 4-on-4 hockey.
Well, that's something that makes coaches crazy. A penalty down behind the offensive net when you have the power play. It's a missed opportunity here. The Wild want to try and take advantage of everything they can. Right behind the net, Vanek gets put to the ice, and then he just reaches up. He wasn't very happy with taking the shot in the shoulder blades that put him down. But you can't retaliate in that circumstance because you're going to give the leeway to the already penalized team.
So it's Pominville and Coyle up front for Minnesota. Spurgeon and Brodin on defense. 4-on-4 hockey for about a half minute. Then Buffalo will get about a half-minute power play. 4-on-4 for just over a minute. Pominville plays it back to Brodin. Jonas Brodin to Pominville. Back to Brodin. Brodin's in a shot. Glove save, Enroth.
That's 3 pretty solid glove saves by Enroth. Wild, they want to start working the other side. Enroth has been one of the reasons why the Sabres were able to win so many games at the end of November and into December. They've obviously struggled, as we pointed out recently, but a few big saves here by Enroth could easily be 2-0 here for the Minnesota Wild. Good pressure, good shots. I like their decision making.
Mazzaro sets up behind the net for Buffalo, and the Sabres come forward. Parise pressures for Minnesota. Georges carries to the Minnesota line. They're onside there. Stafford to the corner for Stewart. Trying to play it out front. Intercepted by Parise. Parise to Haula at center. Dumba after it in the corner. Dumba knocks his man to the ice. The puck rolls out front, and it's smothered there. And we'll get a whistle. Face off in the Buffalo zone. Kevin Gordon was talking about the boost the Wild seemed to get from the addition of Devan Dubnyk. Take a look at the Wild's team defense and goaltending over the last couple of years. The shots on goal per game about the same, but look at the difference last year. Their save percentage, and particularly at even strength, compared to what they've had so far this season.
You know what? The goaltending position, it resonates throughout the entire lineup. There isn't any question at all that players play differently when they have a certain situation back in goal. If they don't feel 100% confident, they're playing on their heels. They're trying to protect too much, and they end up doing jobs that they shouldn't be doing. But when they have a goaltender that is making the saves back there, it allows you to play a little bit more of that risk-reward type game.
Zucker in. His shot goes wide. Poland holds his own for Minnesota. Back to Zucker in the corner. Haula and Zucker pressuring. Zucker out front. His shot was deflected to the boards. Haula to the line. Brodin dumps it back in. The Wild will be offside. The Sabres intercept, and they're on the power play now for just about a half a minute. Drop pass with pressure coming from Zucker. Sabres able to hold. Tyler Ennis up against the end boards. Threw it out front. Haula up against the wall. Got it to the line. Mazzaros there. Holds for Buffalo. Molson plays down low. Ennis tried to go back to Molson. Broken up by Poland. Brodin forces Ennis to the outside. A centering pass. Molson couldn't get a clean shot away. Vanek's back on. The Wild are at full strength. Still on top 1-0.
Good job defensively. The Wild, again, taking any lanes away for those direct bang-bang plays. Good sticks by the Wild. Communicating pretty well defensively, given the fact that we have a lot of new defenders in the lineup and a lot of younger, inexperienced defenders as well.
Stewart plays it back to the point. This will be offside, but Brodziak carries out for Minnesota. Lost the puck at the red line. Fontaine there to protect for the Wild. Brodziak with a second try, but Stewart kicks it into the Minnesota zone. Spurgeon goes back to pick it up for Minnesota. Chased behind the net by Hodgson. Aaron clearing attempt held by Marone. Hodgson escapes a Spurgeon hit in the corner. Out to the point for a shot. Loose puck in the high slot. Cook taps it across to Fontaine. Wild 3-on-2 at the Buffalo line. Brodziak with a shot. The save by Enroth. He hangs on. Minnesota with an 11-2 edge in shots and a 1-0 lead.
There's some defensemen for the Wild. All right-handers, raise your hand. They're all righties. You look how it breaks down in the National Hockey League. These are the top few teams. Look how many left-handed defensemen the Wild have in the lineup. Now, that is rare to have that kind of flip-flop the other way. The other end of the spectrum is Detroit, who have 7 left-handers and no right-handers. So it's a little peculiar. It does change the way you play the game.
Most times teams, if anything, are using left-handers on the right side, not the reverse.
And the reason why that's significant is because most of the time left-handed defensemen will at some point have played the right side. But right-handers, because they are more rare, haven't played the left side as much as they've played the right side. It does determine how you pull the puck off the wall, how you break out, what your first pass looks like. There's a lot of little nuances to doing that, and that's why it's fairly significant here.
Quick shot, pushed wide. Ennis has it behind the goal. Out to Ristolainen. His shot blocked by Niederreiter. Ristolainen still with it. Another shot was deflected by Niederreiter. Ristolainen works his way down low. Molson's tied up, and the loose puck squirts free to the point. A long shot by Girgensons was deflected, and the Wild finally able to clear. A little bit of pressure from the Sabres. They had the game's first shot. Minnesota has had 11 of the last 12. Tyler Myers leads it ahead. Off the mark and tipped. No icing. Spurgeon back to pick it up for Minnesota. Prosser tried to poke it ahead. Shot from the wall hit the side of the net. Sabres maintain control of the zone. Georges across to Myers. Myers with a long shot. Prosser got a piece of it. Where's the puck? It's caught in the gear of Mitchell. Finally drops to the ice, and then Parisi whacks it out to center. Myers to neutral ice. Prosser steps up. Got a piece of it, but Mitchell able to force it down low. Those two connected last night. Mitchell, of course, a former Wild player. Said he had a chance to catch up with a couple former teammates. Had dinner with Nate Prosser. Haula battling in the corner. Tied up there by Weber. Sabres gain control and come out to center ice. Ellis dumps to the Minnesota line. Zucker steps up to intercept. Haula has it at neutral ice. Vanek was in early. Wild had to relinquish the zone. The battle continues for the puck in front of the Buffalo bench. Vanek trying to dig it loose for Minnesota. And now it's Zucker with it at center. Zucker has his man tied up, and the puck comes back into Wild territory. Pulling across to Blum. Vanek able to gain the offensive zone, but then he's run over by Delorier. And the puck comes back into the Minnesota zone.
Weber shaken up there for the Buffalo Sabres. He goes right off the ice after he put Vanek to the ice.
Poland did not reach center ice. He plays it in. Icing waved off. Enroth had to play it. Hodgson to Stewart at center ice. Stewart to the Minnesota line. Puts on the brakes. Cut off by Brodin. Puck goes in behind. Hodgson wheels and fires one right through the crease. Zadorov on the far side. Played further in. And the Wild finally have it at center. Fontaine dumps it out to neutral ice. Ristolainen back for Buffalo. Out to center. It was behind Baroni, but he's going to be the first man there, so icing's waved off. He drops it back to Stewart. His centering pass broken up by Fontaine. And now Matt Dumba starts ahead for Minnesota. Dumba played 20 of the first 22 for the Wild this year. They weren't getting him as much ice time as they'd like, so they sent him to Iowa. Here, Koivu's in. His shot knocked down and then covered by Enroth. Zach Parise's goal, the only marker in Buffalo.
I'm excited to see where his game's at. You know, looking at where our team is at, we know that he has a chance to come in and be impactful in areas of his puck play and you know, his execution on the back end. You know, whether it's helping us to get to offense or help him directly being involved in the offensive game. I definitely want to see the consistency. You know, we've seen it from time to time in his defensive game, his position, his reads, and you know, that's what I'm excited to see. You know, my understanding is that he's been playing a more controlled game, and we're going to need that from him.
Mike Yeo talking about Matt Dumba and his time at Iowa. Dumba used the same word to describe his game when I asked him about it. He said, I've been much more under control, and that's allowed me to create a little more offensively. I've been playing so many minutes, I can't afford to be taking as many chances.
He's working smarter, not necessarily harder. Mike Yeo did say when asked if he looked any more mature to him, Mike Yeo said, yeah, he might have a few more whiskers. So that's the visual maturity, but the maturity in his game certainly will come out here tonight.
15 minutes into the first period, Wild with a 1-0 lead. Parise from Pominville and Koivu, the only goal so far in the game. Vanek turns it over. Prosser's there to protect for Minnesota. Off the glass and out all the way down into Buffalo territory. Weber goes back to scoop it up for the Sabres. Weber plays it ahead, tipped by Vanek. Zucker had a piece of it, but then Haula plays it back into his own zone. Prosser's pass, tipped in by Zucker. Enroth will play it behind the net. Weber pressured by Haula. Ennis back into his own zone, and the Sabres able to efficiently come to center. Molson tips across to Girgensson, and the Buffalo All-Star dumps it in. Dubnyk there to play it for Minnesota. Zucker has it at center ice. Zucker flips it in. Niederreiter in on the forecheck for Minnesota. Zadorov turned it over. Coyle threw it out front. It was tipped wide by Zucker. Centering pass, and Coyle has another chance, and this one stopped by Enroth.
Good pressure there and good forecheck by Niederreiter. Niederreiter's shown a good jump this year in getting in on forechecks. He's a big guy, so he really sweeps him, and you can see him just work the puck, drags a stick out of Enroth's hand as Enroth tried to slow him down. Charlie Coyle trying to be very, very present at the top of that crease.
Draw controlled by the Sabres. Stewart has it. Banks it off the boards and out to neutral ice. Hodgson lost it to Spurgeon at the Minnesota line. Now he has it back. Hodgson works his way in. Cut off by Coyle and then rammed into the corner boards. Hodgson still with it. Tried to feed the point. Intercepted by Carter, and Niederreiter has it at neutral ice. Niederreiter into the corner of the offensive zone, and Enroth covers. We get some pushing and shoving after Carter putting on the brakes. Gave the Buffalo goaltender a face full of snow.
Yeah, the old snow shower trick, and sometimes you can get away with that if the puck is being frozen quickly and you get in there and you can say, well, I was just in there on the forecheck.
Our Menards game reset. Parise, Koivu, Pominville teaming up for the only goal of the game so far. Zach Parise with his 15th of the year. That ties him with Jason Zucker for the team lead. Parise was on a roll. I mentioned earlier this is his first point in his last 4 games. Prior to that, he had 10 goals, 10 assists for 20 points over a 21-game period. Matt Cook fights off Ristolainen. Out to the point. Brodin works to the middle. Dumba wanted the one-timer. Instead, we'll play it down low. Centering pass. Fontaine deflected it. But Brodziak was up high in the slot. Brodziak takes a heavy hit on the play from Delorier.
Well, that's what's called taking a hit to make a play. He knew he had Delorier bearing down on him, but he needed to get that puck out of that transition area just outside the blue line.
Dumba rips the helmet off of Delorier, and now they're going to go. The rookie Dumba against Delorier.
Delorier, a physical forward, came in last year, played 17 games, been here ever since, and see how they do. Oh, they're just throwing bombs. Delorier with a lot of rights and a few lefts.
Dumba took the worst of this early. Seemed to get in a couple of jabs as the fight progressed, but the young defenseman goes toe-to-toe with Nicolas Delorier here in Buffalo.
Well, both teams looking for any minor advantage that they can find. Both guys will head to the locker room as there's only 3:04 left in the period. But Dumba showing some different signs to his game here, and that certainly can't hurt.
Well, Delorier just moments earlier had blasted Brodziak, and Matt Dumba was the first man who had an opportunity to hit Delorier, and he does right in front of the Wild bench.
Well, he rips his helmet off and clearly wanted to go. That's the kind of response that you look from players. Brodziak no worse for the wear after that one, but Brodziak had to make a smart play there. Dumped it back up the ice even though he was going to get hit.
Dumba giving up an inch and 20 pounds in that battle with Delorier. Wild are offering $45 rush tickets for all remaining home games. Rush tickets are limited to single seats. Go on sale exclusively at the Xcel Energy Center box office after the opening face-off of the game. Learn more at wild.com/rush. Myers back in his own zone, watched by Parisi. Just under 3 minutes left in the first period. Stafford sends it all the way down, and it will not be icing. First man there was Flynn. Out to the point. Flynn holds. Stafford has it. Tied up by Brodin. Stafford works his way up the boards. Pominville taps it back to Brodin. And finally the Wild clear to center. Georges across to Myers, who plays it in for Buffalo. Dubnyk knocks it down off the end glass. Poland ahead to Parisi. He plays back to Brodin. And now Brodin with speed through neutral ice. Watched by Molson as he dumps it into the Buffalo zone.
What I like about Dubnyk's play, when he plays the puck, he tries to throw it tape to tape to his defenders. That's helped the Wild get the puck out.
Zucker in for Minnesota. Zucker to the backhand. Penalty coming against Buffalo. Zucker to Spurgeon. Plays it across. Crosser back into Zucker. Zucker wheels and fires. Tipped by Spurgeon. And we'll get the holding call drawn by Zucker with his speedy rush to the net.
Yeah, and I love his strength to the middle, because if he'd have stayed on the outside there, really would have taken his opportunity away. Plus, he probably wouldn't have drawn the penalty. Cuts to the middle of the ice. He forces Weber to really reach out and grab him, and he also gets a good scoring chance here. He's still got a good shot, and Enroth made a heck of a pad save there. So twofold here for Zucker. Good scoring chance, draws a penalty. He's already had a couple of great chances in this game.
Second power play chance for Minnesota. The first one ended very early when Thomas Vanek took an offensive zone penalty on the power play. Spurgeon works his way down low for Minnesota. Spurgeon and Pominville man the points for the Wild. A couple of right-handers with Ryan Suter out of the lineup. Koivu, Parisi, Vanek with three forwards. Parisi's pass intercepted and cleared, and the Wild will have to go all the way back to pick it up. Interesting the way they had it set up. Pominville was the man up at the point. Spurgeon was the weak side guy for the one-timer. Spurgeon carries through neutral ice. Gives to Parisi. His pass was deflected by Girgensons, but held by Koivu. Spurgeon with a good battle along the wall. Parisi to Pominville at the point. Pominville gives to Koivu and sets it up. This time he and Spurgeon trade spots. Vanek fires and scores! Off the feed from the wall, Thomas Vanek, who has more points in this building than any player, has a power play goal for the Wild. It's 2-0 Minnesota.
I think he went blocker side on that one. Good, quick shot. Pominville gets it down low, and Koivu just works it down even lower with a quick feed. And Enroth had been snagging a lot of pucks with his glove early in this hockey game, and a quick one-timer by Vanek puts it home, and the Wild with a 2-0 lead. Something they have not enjoyed in some time.
Thomas Vanek with his 8th goal of this season, 285 in his career. 141 of those have come here at the First Niagara Center. All told, 273 career points in this building. Jason Pominville, incidentally, 4th on that list. Career points in this building, and his assist tonight has him even with Derek Roy for 3rd at 236. Our CenturyLink, the link to what's next. We'll have a preview of what's coming up on Hockey Day Minnesota. It's only 2 days away. Kevin Gorg will chat with Zach Parise, who scored the first goal tonight for Minnesota. Parise and Vanek for the Wild tonight here in Buffalo, and they lead the Sabres 2-0. Coyle tried to go to the point. It was deflected and controlled by Stewart. Stewart at neutral ice for the Minnesota line. Spurgeon across to Brodin. Jonas Brodin. Cross-ice pass was not deflected by Coyle, and it's icing against the Wild with 11.8 remaining.
Oh, he's the lone lefty. Jonas Brodin playing on that left side. Good first passes out of the zone. That's what the Wild are looking for from their blue liners in this hockey game.
Draw controlled by the Wild. Coyle with the face-off victory. That allows Minnesota to get a clear. And as the closing seconds wind down in this first period, the Wild will go to the locker room on top by 2 with a very impressive road period in Buffalo.
Playing very confident, playing in the offensive zone quite a bit. Only gave up 3 shots in that period.
Zach Parise at even strength. Thomas Vanek on the power play, and the Wild lead the Sabres 2-0 after 1. Wild with their only trip to Buffalo this season, leading the Sabres 2-0 after 1 period here at the First Niagara Center. Zach Parise with an even strength goal. Thomas Vanek with a power play goal. And Devan Dubnyk stopped all 3 shots that he saw in the first period.
No, I'm sure that if he can face that kind of pressure, he'll enjoy his time here with the Minnesota Wild. And now the Wild have the duty of seeing what kind of pushback Buffalo has, if any. For them, their response to the first period, can they just continue to build off of that? That's certainly what the Wild need to do here in this game and in future games. Continue to build off of any momentum that they can generate.
Georgia's back for Buffalo. We're underway in the second period. Sabres come through neutral ice. Mitchell lost the handle on it in the Minnesota zone. Back the other way. Pominville hustles after it for Minnesota. Parise plays it up the wall for Koivu. Koivu is knocked down on the play. Mitchell around the far side, but Brodin holds. Koivu quickly out in the corner. Georgia's got there first. Poland pinches to hold the zone for Minnesota. Myers around to the point. Brodin winds, fires, and it's tipped into the corner. Flynn absorbed a hit there. Good pressure again by Minnesota. Flynn eventually with the puck and able to tip it past Poland and out to center. Jason Pominville, a pair of assists tonight. 22 points in his last 22 games for Minnesota. Haula tips it to the Buffalo line. Got it past Georges and in deep. Enroth plays it up the boards. Sabres come back with Georges and now Ennis at center ice. Ennis bumped by Haula. Ennis still with it. Flips it out front and it deflects over the top of the goal. Girgensons to Molson in the corner. Molson tied up on the play. Got it to Ennis. His shot blocked by Spurgeon. And that deflects all the way back into Buffalo territory. Ristolainen pursued by Zucker. That forces a turnover. Haula to Vanek! And it's knocked down by Enroth. What a brilliant feed. Haula to Vanek on the play after Zucker's speed forced a turnover by Ristolainen. Spurgeon plays it ahead. Intercepted at the Minnesota line, and now Buffalo will regroup in their own zone. Haula, Vanek, and Zucker paired together for Minnesota tonight. They've created some chances. Zucker drew the penalty that led to the Vanek power play goal. Fontaine has it at center for Minnesota. Sidesteps a check, carries into the Buffalo zone. To Cook. Cook's shot was deflected. Mazaros plays it around behind the net, and the Sabres gain control. Weber flips it up in the air, cross ice, knocked down there by Folin. Folin plays it to neutral ice, where it's wrapped back in by Veroni. Jonathan Blum lugs it back for Minnesota, playing in his 4th game with the Wild here tonight. Myers carries back for Buffalo. Georges plays ahead, and Flynn relays it into the Minnesota zone. Ellis in on the forecheck. Folin sandwiched behind the net, but Charlie Coyle comes away with the puck. Coyle gave it away. And the Sabres now have it. Georges plays it across and then up ahead at the Minnesota line. It's tipped into the corner. Kaleta played it down low. Coyle now has it along the wall. Kaleta recovers the loose puck. Tried to center. Knocked down by Folin. Loose puck and a save by Dubnyk. Dubnyk back on his feet as the Sabres control behind the net. Maybe the trickiest save Dubnyk's had to make so far tonight. Kaleta leaves it in the corner. Flynn is there for Buffalo. Flynn waits out near the point. Then his shot was blocked by Coyle. Blum delivers a hit behind the net. Puck along the wall, and it's deflected out to neutral ice. Ristolainen back to pick it up for Buffalo.
Oh, here's where you have to be careful. That whole sequence by Buffalo created by a turnover from the Wild. And in the second period, you have the long change, so you can't get yourself into those situations. Otherwise, you end up running around your zone for way too long.
Out to the point, intended for Weber, but it's off the mark and deflects to neutral. Sabres dump it in. Dubnyk to play it there for Minnesota.
Yeah, and a tape-to-tape pass, Dubnyk to his defender. That's happened 3 or 4 times in this game. Not just an errant wrap around the glass.
Folin has it taken away by Ennis. Ennis spun around and dropped by Brodin. Wild come back to neutral ice. Parisi bumped off the puck as he exited the zone, and Hodgson quickly turns it back. Sabres are whistled offside.
Well, this goes back a little ways, but that Zucker forecheck, it's not just his speed. Look at the angle that he does when he comes in on this play. He knows that if he presses him to the inside, he's got to go up the wall. He takes away the D-to-D, and that's just a great forecheck by Zucker. It creates an offensive chance. So speed, yes. Angle, even better here, and Vanek almost got his 2nd of the game.
Hodgson works his way in for Buffalo. Tried to push it across, but Haula intercepts for Minnesota. Haula plays it around and collected at center by Zucker. Zucker's pass out of the reach of Vanek. Haula quickly in on the forecheck for Minnesota. Vanek controls along the wall, and we get a whistle and a hand pass whistled against the Sabres. Marco Scandella and Jared Spurgeon will be signing autographs at the Hockey Lodge at the XL Energy Center from 1 to 2 on Sunday, January 18th. Visit stateofhockeystore.com for details. Face-off here will come at neutral ice. Haula on the draw for Minnesota. Controlled by the Sabres, and Georges plays it back into his own zone. Georges ahead at center. Tipped in by Flynn. Dubnyk again to play it. And Zucker's going to take a penalty here for Minnesota. Zucker will be called for interference as he delivered a hit along the wall. The puck had not yet reached the Minnesota forward, so Zucker to the box and Buffalo to the power play.
Well, he uses his speed very well in this case. The referee felt that he just blocked his opportunity to get to the puck. And you see him just throw his hip out at the last second there. Can't do that until the puck is there. He got him a little bit early.
Officially, it's the second power play for Buffalo. Their first was only a half-minute long. Here's a chance, and a pad save by Dubnyk. Out to the point, Ennis with it. Ennis winds, fires, tipped by Stewart. Dubnyk got a pad on that one. Cook clears to the line. Held there by Zadorov across to Ristolainen. His shot got through, and it's deflected aside by Dubnyk. Buffalo with some pressure on the power play. Ristolainen works his way to the middle. Feeds the far side. Cook applies pressure. Ristolainen in the middle. Fires one toward the net, and it's deflected just wide. Ennis back up high. Zadorov hands it off. Stewart with a tip, and it deflects into the mitt of Devan Dubnyk.
Well, Dubnyk employing what is called a wide V. You watch how flared out his legs are on these saves, and really takes away a lot of opportunities. He made a couple of quick pad saves just prior to that good little glove save on the deflection. But keep an eye on him. He extends those legs straight out, really takes away a good portion of the bottom of the net because of that, and because of the way he angles his pads. They did not give up rebounds on either one of those chances.
Sabres win the draw. Georges rifles one off the end glass. Molson escapes a hit, feeds the point, and a turnover. Erik Haula shorthanded for Minnesota. Haula in. Haula sent it wide. Centering pass. Brodziak scores! And Minnesota with a shorthanded goal leads 3-0.
Great play by Haula, sticking with it. A lot of guys have been pretty frustrated that they missed a clear break, but he stayed with the puck and eventually was able to set up Brodziak in front. He missed it, went and got his own, and poked it back out front. But good little play. It's a turnover that creates an opportunity with the speed, but when he misses the net, he puts the brakes on and he dives back to poke it into the front of the net. Good second effort there by Haula.
The 8th shorthanded goal allowed by the Sabres this year. That's the most in the NHL. For Minnesota, it's the 4th shorthanded goal scored. Zucker, Niederreiter, Carter, and now tonight, Brodziak. 3-0 lead for the Wild. Sabres still on the power play. Zadorov back in his own zone. Gives it ahead to Ristolainen into the Minnesota zone. He flips to the corner. Spurgeon back for the Wild. Haula able to clear. Down to 15 seconds remaining in the Buffalo power play. Stewart works his way in. His shot goes just wide. Rebound picked up by Ennis. In behind the net, Stewart. And now Girgensons trying to escape Spurgeon. To the point, Ristolainen settles it down, but then his entry pass was deflected by Haula, and all the way back, the Wild are at full strength. Zucker's back on. A very effective penalty kill for Minnesota that included a shorthanded goal for Kyle Brodziak, extending Minnesota's lead to 3. Sabres come to center. Prosser back to pick it up for Minnesota. Sabres emerge with the puck, however, and it's Stafford trying to spin away from Blum. Stafford, the wraparound try, right through the crease and out to the point. Myers with a shot. That was blocked, deflected off of Flynn and wide. Myers holds. Watched by Koivu as he plays to the corner. Prosser scoops it up there for Minnesota. His pass behind Pominville. Pominville trying to wave off the icing. He does. That forces Enroth to play it. And George is now with it.
That's the second time Pominville has negated an icing by using his speed to get down the ice. He's having a pretty good hockey game.
2 assists for Pominville tonight. He, like Vanek, has had a lot of success in this building. Only Vanek and Miroslav Satan have scored more points in this building than Pominville. He now stands at 237 points at the First Niagara Center. Niederreiter to Erik Haula. Dumba up the boards for Coyle, and now back to Dumba. Prosser throws it all the way across ice for Coyle. Coyle to Niederreiter. Niederreiter in with Vanek breaking up the backside. Niederreiter's pass was deflected. Niederreiter to Coyle. Now up high Spurgeon. On the weak side. Blum centers. Vanek saved by Enroth. And he robbed him on the rebound. Thomas Vanek scored earlier for Minnesota, robbed here. But it's Kyle Brodziak, shorty, that has Minnesota in front 3-0.
Thomas Vanek has 4 shots on goal in this hockey game. He does have the 1 power play goal, and this one by rights, there's 1, there's 2. 2 glorious scoring chances. Just can't get them to go. Nice setup there by Blum, but these are just tremendous saves by Enroth. And I mentioned before, he's one of the big reasons why the Buffalo Sabres went on a bit of a stretch there the end of November and into December because of his goaltending, and he's been making saves like that.
The Sabres have had an up and down season, to put it mildly. Started out the year 3-13-2. Then had a 10-3 stretch to which you refer. His goaltending a big part of that. But now coming into tonight, just 1-11-1 in their last 13. Here's a shot and the score! Dumba took the shot from the point, and Minnesota has extended the lead to 4-0.
Boy, did Dumba ever unload on that shot. My goodness. Second goal of the year for Dumba. And Dumba is clearly sending out a little bit of, or not a little bit, a lot of a message to Mike Yeo and the Wild staff to say, I want to be here in the National Hockey League. He has a fight. Now he has a goal on a big shot. And Matt Dumba gets the Wild up 4-0 in this hockey game.
Second goal of the season for Dumba, 3rd NHL marker for the Minnesota defenseman. 7th overall pick a couple of years ago in the 2012 draft. Loose puck, Cook with a shot, saved by Enroth.
Miscommunication, Enroth and his defenders. The Wild almost got another one.
Knocked down by Dubnyk and then kicked just wide by Veroni. Ristolainen settles it down at center for Buffalo. Across to Zadorov at the Minnesota line. Stewart works his way in. Ristolainen trailing the play, wanted the one-timer. Instead, it's rimmed around. Veroni tried to feed the point, intercepted by Fontaine. Nifty move, skate to stick by Brodin. He flips it in as Minnesota changes. Cook to Fontaine. Fontaine tied up by Veroni. Cook whips one out to the point for Prosser. Back in for Fontaine. Fontaine looking. Leaves it for Haula. Haula circles, now plays back to the corner for Cook. Cook with Blum breaking toward the net. His centering pass was broken up. Fontaine's there for Minnesota. He's tied up by Veroni. Ristolainen lost the handle on it. Zucker threw it out front, intercepted by Veroni, and played out to neutral ice. Blum there for Minnesota, across to Zucker. Zucker carries in. Zucker tried to go cross ice for Vanek. It was deflected. Vanek then knocked down from behind. Back on his feet with the puck. Zucker fires, and that's just high and wide.
Great little play for Zucker, taking that pass off the skate and in all in one motion getting a good shot.
Zucker tried to sneak one through for Vanek. It's intercepted and cleared, and it'll be icing against Buffalo.
Good shift here, a lot of speed, a lot of creativity out there for that line. Wild have the opportunity to make a line change, and they will. And Zucker with some very good opportunities in this hockey game. Showing a little bit of frustration there, probably feels he should have a goal here or there.
Coyle wins the draw. Dumba works his way in for Minnesota, centered it. Niederreiter was tied up, and Stewart starts it back for the Sabres. Past the halfway point of the second period. Wild with 2 in the first, 2 here in the second, lead 4-0. Jurgensen to Ennis, knocked down by Spurgeon, and we're going to get a penalty against Spurgeon on the play. Spurgeon goes for tripping. Buffalo goes to the power play, but Matt Dumba has Minnesota in front, 4-0 in Buffalo. 4-0 Wild in Buffalo. All rights to the broadcast are reserved. Any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, telecommunication to the public, or other unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written permission of the Minnesota Wild is prohibited. Buffalo on the power play, their 3rd chance of the night. The last one resulted in a Minnesota shorthanded goal scored by Kyle Brodziak. Long lead pass, too far for Stewart, and it'll be icing against the Sabres. Tonight on Fox Sports Live, will he go pro? Cardell Jones decides on his future and shocks the world in the process. Two of the NBA's biggest stars collide. It's LeBron versus Kobe in Los Angeles. And we have you covered as some of college basketball's best teams are in action. That's all coming up tonight on Fox Sports Live. Wild win the draw. Prosser has his shot deflect off a stick and into the corner. Zadorov there for Buffalo, but his pass was intercepted by Brodin and hammered back in. Sabres on the power play this year, dead last in the league, 9%. Brodin tries to push it past Stewart. Loose puck picked up by Brodziak, who plays it out to neutral ice. Prosser intercepts this and clears. And Buffalo's changing. Erik Haula applies pressure, and that forces Enroth to cover. And it'll be a defensive zone draw for the Sabres halfway through the power play. We're just 2 days away from Hockey Day, Minnesota. We bring you over 16 hours of live hockey coverage starting at 9 a.m. from the Minnesota Army National Guard Aviation Support Facility at Holman Field in St. Paul. Coverage will include special interviews, stories, and more. If you're heading to Holman Field for the high school hockey matchups, look for the Fox Sports North Fan Express, Fox Sports North Girls, and Dairy Queen. You can purchase DQ Dilly Bars with all proceeds going to serving our troops. Hockey Day, Minnesota, this Saturday starting at 9 on Fox Sports North.
Something says outdoor hockey like Dilly Bars.
It's tough to beat. It's supposed to be nice out on Saturday, mid-30s.
It'll be great.
In Minnesota, that is Dilly Bar weather.
It is. Especially with what we've had lately.
Myers plays it around behind. Flynn picks it up on the far side. Blum trying to play it up the boards. I remember earlier edition of Hockey Day Minnesota up on Baudette Bay. They delivered us an ice cream cake. Temperature that day was somewhere around -20.
Well, it wasn't going to melt. That's the good thing.
Centering pass. Myers has it knocked away. Georges slides it across. Long shot tipped by Molson. And just wide of the net. Flynn has it. Spurgeon's back. The Wild are at full strength. Cross-ice pass intercepted by Zucker. Zucker races the other way with Spurgeon. Zucker fires, and it's off the end glass. Karam's all the way back out to center where Myers has it for Buffalo.
Now, you're not seeing things. Myers was parked in front of that net. They want some net front presence with his size, but they were never able to get the puck down to him.
Brodin dumps it in for Minnesota. Another successful penalty kill for the Wild. Oh, Parisi run over behind the Buffalo goal. Heavy hit behind the net thrown by Mazzaros.
Almost looked like Parisi contributed by running into him, but Zach Parisi's always going 100 miles an hour, so he picked his head up and ran into a wall.
Parisi had a little bit of retaliation against a different guy as he hammered Weber in the corner. Delivers a hit on Hodgson as a bonus. Sabres come to center. Delorier fires it in from the red line. Dubnyk to play it for Minnesota. Up the boards where Parisi has it. Across to Vanek. Vanek drives it in from center. Knocked aside by Enroth. Ristolainen's there for the Sabres. In behind is Zadorov. And ahead to Delorier. Niederreiter back to pick it up for the Wild. He gives to Dumba. Dumba across to Spurgeon. Spurgeon to Coyle. He's tied up at center. Matt Ellis hustles over. Bumped there by Niederreiter. Loose puck controlled by Vanek. Niederreiter to Coyle. Coyle centered, and Niederreiter not able to redirect. Dumba plays down low. Niederreiter, who had a hat trick earlier this year against the Sabres. Tied up in the corner. Charlie Coyle's there to pick it up. Coyle and Niederreiter on the forecheck for the Wild. Ristolainen hammers Niederreiter. Coyle picks up the loose puck for Minnesota. Vanek setting up in the high slot as Coyle tries to spin away from Veroni. Coyle across to Spurgeon. Spurgeon centers, and it's tipped by Vanek right into the midsection of Enroth. Getting physical in Buffalo where the Wild lead the Sabres 4-0. Windows Concept game reset. Big night for Jason Pominville with 3 assists. Matt Dumba with his second goal of the season. Zach Parise, as always, a big factor for Minnesota. Koivu has a couple of helpers. Wild have outshot the Sabres 25-10 and lead the game 4-0.
Out attempted a 40-26. Throwing a lot of pucks towards that net.
Girgensons into the Minnesota zone. Centered. Molson with a redirect, and Dubnyk's right there to cover for Minnesota.
Dubnyk looking fairly comfortable. Of course, he's coming off of playing a little bit here for the Arizona Coyotes. So it's not as if he had been entirely idle and then all of a sudden thrown into the fire, although his travel was interesting. A red eye crunched up in a little seat for a guy 6'5". That's not easy.
Centering pass. Girgensons was tied up neatly on the play. Mazzaro's back in. Girgensons tried to spin around. He hit the side of the net with it. Brodziak with a takeaway, and Fontaine starts it back for Minnesota. Fontaine dumps it in. Matt Cook pressures for the Wild. He sends Weber face first into the glass. Brodin holds his own. Mazzaros is there. Fontaine up from behind by Weber. Matt Cook emerges for Minnesota. Cook takes a long look, goes to the point. Brodin, his shot, hit Fontaine on the way and never reached the net. Brodin holds his own. Minnesota changing. Brodin threw it just wide of the target. Poland pinches from the point but unable to hold. Sabres send it down. Parise back defensively. Ennis is there for Buffalo. Ennis trying to escape Parise. Puck goes into the corner. Spurgeon now has Mitchell tied up. Spurgeon trying to dig the puck loose. Koivu joins the battle. Pass behind the net, hit the official. Georges now sends it in behind for Flynn, whose centering pass was intercepted by Poland. Poland unable to clear. Mitchell takes a bump from Koivu. Stafford tried to center. Flynn was there, but in check. Pominville has it. Ahead for Parise. Parise into the zone. Pominville trailing. Parise's pass was broken up by Myers. Myers pushes it back for Buffalo. Plays it across at center ice. Tipped in by Flynn. Wild go back to pick it up, and a long stretch pass finds Pominville. He drops for Zucker. Zucker spinning away from Ristolainen. Centered it, and that was deflected and back out to center ice. Nate Prosser there for Minnesota. All the way across to Vanek. Deflects into the corner. Ristolainen there. Hodgson lays it back to Ristolainen. Howley got a stick on it. The Sabres are able to clear. Brodin across to Prosser. His entry pass. Got the puck in, but Zucker could not hold. And it's back into Minnesota territory. Dubnyk leaves it there for Prosser. Prosser chased out from behind the net by Delorier. Stewart recovers the puck at center for Buffalo. Weber ahead for Stewart into the Minnesota zone. His shot knocked down by Dubnyk. Harder swoops in to play it. Out to center. Charlie Coyle has it there for the Wild. Coyle forced outside. Lost the handle for a moment. Still managed to get the puck into the corner where Carter battles for it. Coyle tied up by Mazzaros. Those two still battling. Coyle to Niederreiter. Waits, then fires, and it hit a stick. Flutters into the corner. Coyle for Carter. Carter works his way out of the corner. To the point for Blum. Spurgeon winds, fires, they score! It looked like it was tipped on the way, and Minnesota leads 5-0.
Well, both Niederreiter and Coyle were in line when that puck went towards the net. But good to see the Wild directing as many pucks at the net as they can. It might have been Niederreiter who actually swatted. Watch his stick as he deflects. Looked like it changed direction on Spurgeon's shot. And the Wild have 5 goals in these 2 periods.
Georges back behind his net for Buffalo. Final minute of the second period. The Wild have added 3 to the lead. and are on top of the Sabres 5-0. Minnesota trying to snap a 6-game losing streak. Buffalo trying to snap an 8-game skid. Georges slides it across. Fontaine intercepts and dumps it in for Minnesota. Matt Cook hustling on the forecheck. Penalty coming on the play as Cook was hooked behind the net, and the Wild will go on the power play. Good effort on the forecheck by Matt Cook. Draws a penalty and puts the Wild into a man advantage situation.
Now the Wild are forcing the Sabres into situations where there's hooking, holding, that type of thing because of their puck pursuit. They're getting into the offensive zone and they're going after the puck. In this case, it's a hooking call.
Wild with one power play goal in the game. This is their third power play opportunity. Koivu, Parise, Vanek again up front. Pominville handles the bounce off the wall to hold the zone. Parise back up high for Spurgeon. Spurgeon works his way to the middle, gives to Parise. His shot, kick save, Enroth. Rebound cleared, and it skips by Spurgeon and back out to center. Zach Parise. Final seconds of the period, and the Wild are offside. 4.3 left. There will be a neutral zone draw.
Good to see the Wild responding very well in this game. They're not forgoing the defensive side of the game in order to get offense. They are taking care of both ends of the ice. They have 5 goals, but they've also not given up a lot in their own end.
Spurgeon, who was credited with the goal on that last play for Minnesota. If it changed direction, it was off a Buffalo player. Spurgeon from Blum and Carter to cap a very impressive second period for Minnesota, and they lead 5-0.
Well, good to see consistency in their game. That's one thing the Wild wanted to see out of their hockey game. They want to see 60-minute hockey here, and, well, they're 2/3 of the way there. They need another period, a strong one, to finish this game off.
One of the goals in that period scored by young defenseman Matt Dumba. He'll chat with Kevin Gordon next. Wild 5, Sabres 0 after 2. A lot of smiles on the Minnesota bench. And Devan Dubnyk's been perfect so far. Wild 5, Sabres 0 after 2 periods in Buffalo. Our Bud Light, what's on tap? An exciting day coming up on Saturday. Hockey Day, Minnesota. All starts at 9 a.m. The Wild and the Coyotes will cap it off at 8 o'clock at the XL Energy Center. Columbus is in town Monday before the Wild head to Detroit. Back end of a back-to-back. And then some time off for everybody except Ryan Suter over the All-Star break.
Well, Vanek getting his chances in spots where he needs to be, in those tough areas in front of the net. Good to see him getting opportunities there. Earlier on this year, one of the reasons why he was making a lot of passes is because he was not in those scoring areas. Found that area. And so is Zucker, although he's been a little more snake bit in this game, but it's good to see him still getting the chances.
Wild open the third on the power play. Vanek to Pominville, poked away by Myers, controlled by Parise. To Spurgeon, back to Koivu. Koivu cross ice. Vanek centers. He wanted Pominville, but it was deflected. Cleared off the glass and out to center. Spurgeon back to regroup for Minnesota. Koivu sends it back in. Parise in on the forecheck for the Wild. He and Weber collide in the corner. Clearing attempt easily held by Pominville. Koivu works his way down low. Trade spots with Parise. To the point, Spurgeon. Pominville winds, fires, tipped, and a save by Enroth. Parise back to Spurgeon. Spurgeon to Pominville. Another one-timer. This one looking for a tip, but it got by Vanek. Spurgeon to Pominville. Pominville plays across. Parise waiting, looking, fires, and it's deflected off the glass by Weber. Koivu able to control. Forces it to the point. Spurgeon to Pominville. Pominville backpedaling down the boards. Finally pressured by Myers. He plays to Vanek. Vanek fires. It hits off of Weber. Winds up in behind the goal. And the Sabres clear, but it was tipped. So there will be no whistle. Just a face-off in the Buffalo zone. Final seconds of a Wild power play remaining.
Vanek was looking for a deflection on that shot. The only difference was he wanted it to be his own player. That deflected out of harm's way.
Figures you'd see Vanek have some success coming back here into this building in which he's so comfortable. I mentioned his NHL numbers, 273 points, more than any player. His success here actually started a few years earlier than that, back in 2003, a freshman at the University of Minnesota. Scored an overtime winner in the national semifinals here to beat Michigan. Then the game winner in the national championship game against New Hampshire. The Caps on an amazing freshman season. Minnesota 62 points in 45 games.
Pominville's not having too bad of a return either.
No. 3 assists tonight for Pominville. He's been on a roll lately for Minnesota. Brodziak drives it in for the Wild. Carter in the corner. Leaves it there for Niederreiter. Takes a whack from Molson. Mazzaros plays ahead. And the Sabres have it with Ennis. Flips into the Minnesota zone. Prosser back to pick it up for the Wild. Prosser dumps it in from center. Knocked down there by Weber. Across to Mazzaros. At center ice, Niederreiter lets it go back to Prosser. He plays across to Blum. And Blum will set up behind the net. Third game of a 3-game road trip for Minnesota. Started with losses in Chicago and Pittsburgh. Trying to salvage the final game here tonight. Vanek to Haula. Haula fires. Save Enroth. And the rebound pushed just wide by Vanek. Folin waits, then fires. That deflected to the corner. Brodin able to hold the zone. Zucker disrupts Myers. Cleared around, but Folin holds. He paid a price to do it. Haula centers, and it's gloved and held by Enroth. I like the looks of this line together. Haula, Zucker, and Vanek. A couple of players with speed with the highly skilled Thomas Vanek.
Well, they've had a pretty good game. Haula did a good job on the penalty kill, but they've had good opportunities. I mentioned earlier that with Vanek getting all those chances, Zucker has as well. He's been firing the puck at the net quite a bit. He's had some very high quality chances, mostly created by his own hustle, but still good to see him having a good game. He's had 3 games without any points, and the 2 coming back from illness, he had 3 goals, so wants to try and get back on that score sheet.
Stafford works his way around Koivu, then Spurgeon. Tied up in the corner, and Koivu emerges with the puck for Minnesota. Koivu banks one ahead off the boards. Parisi racing after it for Minnesota. That negates an icing call. Parisi's pinned off the puck by Ristolainen, and the Sabres come to center. Stafford had it broken up by Brodin at the Minnesota line. Wild with a one-sided advantage here tonight in shots, 29-13. Not surprising. The Sabres have outshot only 4 opponents all season. That's the lowest total by far in the league. No other team has had fewer than 10 games where they've outshot their opponents.
Although that second period came a little bit closer than the first.
Brodziak centers. Cook to Fontaine. They score!
Bad deflection there for Buffalo. That puck found a home, and it's 6-0.
Looked like it went in off of Veroni after Fontaine deflected the Cook pass.
Well, good forecheck. Brodziak creates it, and then just this shot off the stick of their own player. That's how things go the wrong way for you. Buffalo has suffered a lot more of that this season than most.
Matt Cook, who had a goal earlier on this trip in Chicago for Minnesota. Oh, Niederreiter's run over from behind as this puck winds up back in Buffalo territory. May wind up getting credit for this one as it was deflected in by Veroni. Niederreiter answered with a couple of physical hits in the corner. Wild send it back in, and Enroth will leave it at the side of the net. Myers pushes back for Buffalo. Niederreiter, Carter, Coyle, a physical trio here for Minnesota on the ice, and it's been a physical shift. Perhaps a little frustration settling in here for the Sabres. Been a frustrating year for them, but here tonight they find themselves now down by 6 goals. In talking to some of the Sabre players today, even though they've lost 8 in a row, you could sense some mild optimism. They said, hey, we got another team coming in here who's struggling just like we are. We want to jump on them early. They got the first shot on goal. Minnesota got the next 10. And the Wild have been in control ever since.
They were only outshot 12-10 in the second period, so they had some chances. Dubnyk came up with some decent saves. The Wild protected well and continued to pour the pucks in the net.
Zucker plays ahead to Spurgeon. He centers. Enroth got a piece of it with Haula bearing down on it. Vanek plays it across just out of the reach of Zucker. He recovers, plays to Haula. Ristolainen in behind the net. Has his stick lifted by Vanek, but regains control. Played it across. And now Stewart carries to center. Stewart sidesteps Zucker, but offside at the Minnesota line. Wild have added 1. They lead 6-0 in Buffalo. Toyota get caught up. Zach Parise scored early for Minnesota at even strike. His 15th of the year made it 1-0. Then to the final minute of the first period, Thomas Vanek on the power play made it 2-0 for the Wild. After Kyle Brodziak had scored shorthanded to make it 3-0, Matt Dumba with a rocket from the point extended it to 4. And still in the second period, Jared Spurgeon made it 5-0. The Wild have added another. Here in the third, a goal by Matt Cook. And it is 6-0 Wild. Parise in for Minnesota. And it deflects up and out of play. And apparently did not deflect. It'll be a penalty against Myers for delay of game. And the Wild back on the power play, already leading by 6.
Well, a lot of the situations created in this game were because of the speed and pursuit by the Wild. The Wild have helped themselves by forcing Buffalo to either take penalties, make passes that they didn't want to make, or in this case, make a clearing attempt that he did not want to make. When you force players, when you rush them, that's where mistakes happen, and that's where you can take advantage.
Mike Yeo will give a few different players some power play opportunity here. Fontaine, Brodziak, Cook up front for the Wild. Dumba with a drive. It deflects off the side of the goal. Cook to Fontaine. Tried to feed the point, but it's intercepted by Myers, who comes to center. Or Ellis, rather, who dumps it in.
Well, you want to give players in this circumstance as many touches to the puck that they can get. You want the confidence to flow through this entire team. And this is a good way to do it.
Brodziak, who assisted on the Cook goal, plays it back to Dumba. Now across to Spurgeon. Spurgeon works his way down low to Fontaine. Fontaine to Brodziak, but it was just off the mark. Spurgeon in the corner. Leaves it behind for Fontaine. Fontaine escapes a hit. Maintains the puck along the wall. Fontaine tried to feed the point, taken away by Mitchell. And Torrey Mitchell carries to center ice, dumps it in. Girgensons fires over the top of the goal and into the netting. Exactly halfway through the Minnesota power play. Wild will have a face-off in their own zone.
Well, Girgensons, by far and away, the top vote getter for the All-Star game. A lot of Latvian fans out there. About 80% of his votes came from that group. The rest of the starters as voted by the fans, all from the Chicago Blackhawks. They must have a good internet in Chicago.
Poland. Well, they've never been accused of any kind of election fraud in Chicago. Maybe some ballot stuffing.
Yeah. Well, you're only allowed 10 votes per day per device. So there must be a lot of people with a lot of bat phones there.
Jonas Brodin starts out for Minnesota. Pominville gains the zone, but then lost the puck. Flynn strips it away. 22 left in the power play. Cleared, but not out. Pominville able to hold. Pominville's then run over by Flynn. Sabres get it clear. The Wild will change. 10 seconds left in the Minnesota man advantage.
Well, a bit of a Bronx cheer. That puck came down, I think, the first attempt by the Sabres in this period.
Myers just out of the box. Beaten to the puck by Dumba. Spurgeon quickly back the other way. Zucker drops to Vanek. His shot blocked. Dumba a drive, and it deflects wide off of Enroth. Loose puck controlled by Spurgeon. Dumba another drive that's just wide. Spurgeon trying to hold. Sabres able to clear. Girgensons is banged up on the play. He's limping to the bench. Molson fires with Dubnyk scrambling to get back into the crease.
Well, Girgensons blocked that shot by Vanek, and he took a bit of a run at Vanek at the end of the play just because he was so angry that it stung him. And he's the guy we were just talking about that led all vote getters, having a pretty good season.
11 goals so far this year for Girgensons. Right now trying to snap a 7-game pointless drought. Sabres have not been scoring much. They have just 9 goals during this 8-game losing streak, which is on its way to 9 games here tonight. They've been outscored 32-9 coming into tonight. Ristolainen tried to center. He's tied up by Blum, and the loose puck finally controlled by Carter. Carter able to gain the offensive zone. Enroth to play it. Niederreiter knifes in. Loose puck out front. Controlled at the last moment by Hodgson. Ennis plays ahead to Molson, who relays into the Minnesota zone. Wild swept the series from the Sabres last year. A win here tonight will earn them a season series sweep once again. They beat Buffalo earlier this year in St. Paul. Game that saw the Sabres score on their first 2 shots on goal, but Minnesota finally won the game 6-3. Brodziak wins the draw for the Wild. Fontaine has it. Fontaine takes a bump in the corner, tried to get it to Brodziak. Poland cannot hold. Stewart able to play it, but Brodziak is there to take it away from Minnesota. Matt Cook fires it across to Brodin. Into the Buffalo zone. Brodin sidestepped a check and played the puck down low. Wild and the Coyotes Saturday night in St. Paul. Minnesota hopeful that they'll be able to get Marco Scandella back maybe as early as Saturday's game. Now we get some pushing and shoving behind the play. Coletta involved for Buffalo. And he has Matt Cook pinned up against the glass. And I believe we're going to have penalties called here. Coletta escorted to the box. We'll sort it out when we return. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game came off the stick of defenseman Matt Dumba.
What a blast. He just rips this puck, and he's been shooting it a lot in this hockey game. He's trying to send a message to the Wild organization. Keep me up here.
Wild on the power play, and like the last man advantage situation, Mike Yeo just going with his regular forward lines. Here it's Vanek, Zucker, and Haula up front for the Wild. Dumba and Spurgeon man the points.
Kind of hard to believe that Dumba only has credit for 1 shot on goal. I know he's pounded the puck at the net every opportunity he's had, but right now only credit for 1 shot. He has a goal, he's +3, and he has a fight.
Spurgeon plays to the corner and then cannot hold. He'll have to come back and pick it up in the Minnesota zone. Wild on the power play. After Coletta went for unsportsmanlike conduct. Minnesota's 5th man advantage opportunity of the game. Haula in, drops to Zucker. Zucker across to Vanek. He tried to center. Haula was in check, and the loose puck comes to the wall. Dumba there for Minnesota. In behind for Vanek. Vanek gives to Haula. Haula back to Vanek. Now to Dumba. Dumba fires. Saved by Enroth. Zucker quickly on the loose puck, but he played it back out of the reach of Spurgeon. Vanek's back in. Couldn't handle it cleanly. But it's cleared out of play into the Buffalo bench, so it'll be a face-off inside the zone.
Don't relent. When you feel the confidence it's coming back, you got to keep supplementing it as much as you can. Wild keep pressing forward in this hockey game.
Sabres able to clear halfway through the Wild power play. Dubnyk leaves it for Folin. Jonas Brodin pushes forward for Minnesota. Gives to Niederreiter. Across to Carter. Carter trying to get it deep in the zone. Brodin able to hold for the Wild. Folin plays to Coyle. Coyle works his way to the middle. Then he's knocked off the puck as he tried to get a backhander away. At center ice, Carter's tied up. Mitchell got a piece of it. Folin recovers. Carter flips it in behind the goal. Folin in on the forecheck, but Torrey Mitchell's there to pick it up. Dubnyk plays it into the corner for Brodin. He absorbs a hit. Mitchell tried to center. That's intercepted by Parise, who races back the other way. Pominville and Parise. Cross ice to Koivu, who was uncovered. He could not catch the pass cleanly. Pominville in the corner. To the point for Spurgeon. Sabres are at full strength. Pominville to Parise. A shot right on. And a save by Enron.
Well, you know, Parise takes on a lot. As one of the leaders of this hockey team, you know that he came out in this one knowing that he had to make a difference in this hockey game. He certainly has done that. Right from the first couple of shifts in the game, he had shots on goal. Got a first goal period and has really continued to put pucks at the net. 5 shots on goal in this game. Only bested by Vanek, who has 8 so far in this hockey game.
Spurgeon plays it all the way across. Tipped in by Pominville. Mazzaro's back to pick it up for Buffalo. Ennis pressured by Koivu. Weber slides it through, and Girgensons races to center. Molson plays it into the Minnesota zone, then Molson's bumped off the puck. He manages to take it away from Koivu. Girgensons out to the point. Weber. Mazzaros fires. And it's broken up before it reached the net. Spurgeon has it there for Minnesota. Banks it ahead for Parise. And Parise will slide it back safely to Matt Dumba as the Wild change their forward attackers. Spurgeon carries ahead for the Wild. Got it to Cook at the Buffalo line. Stewart has it there for the Sabres. Stewart into the Minnesota zone. Hodgson with a shot. And that deflects up into the netting. And again, some pushing and shoving in the corner after the whistle.
Well, it doesn't benefit the Wild to get mixed up in any extracurriculars right now. We've talked about the fact that their blue line is depleted of a couple of their top defenders, Scandella and Suter, namely. They have some young guys in there, and they've all performed very well in this hockey game.
Zadorov back to pick it up for Buffalo. Ristolainen. 6 on the board for the Wild tonight. They had scored just 10 during their 6-game losing streak. 0-5-1 over that stretch. Had allowed almost 5 per night. 29 goals against. Tonight they've been solid at both ends of the ice. Ristolainen able to hold, but only for a moment. Then Brodziak sends it down for the Wild. 5.5 to go here in Buffalo. Haula back to Folin and across to Brodin. Vanek gives it right back to Folin. Now Vanek at center. All the way across for Zucker. Zucker spins along the boards. Waits for support. Hook one toward the slot area. It was intercepted before it could reach Vanek. And Kaleta is there for Buffalo. Brodin back for Minnesota. Folin plays to the corner. Haula trying to play it up the boards, but Sabres able to hold. Full back in behind for Brodin. Wild will make a change as Jonas Brodin waits patiently behind his net. Niederreiter gives to Coyle. He's in with Carter. Coyle fights off a hit, got a shot away. Enroth deflects it to the boards. Niederreiter's centering pass deflected and intercepted. Flynn starts back for Buffalo. Into the Minnesota zone. Flynn ridden out by Dumba. Stafford fires and it's off the post. Coyle got it to Niederreiter. And now Carter carries to center. And his entry pass deflects into the Buffalo bench. We get a whistle. And Carter being restrained. Wild leading 6-0. Vancouver currently occupying one of the 2 wild card spots in the Western Conference. Started play tonight 8 points ahead of Minnesota. Wild haven't seen the Western Canadian teams this year. Plenty of Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver on the schedule from here to the finish for the Wild.
Yeah, right out of the All-Star break, they will, though. Quick little swing out that way. We'll see all 3 of those clubs, former Northwest Division.
Here's a blast by Myers that goes off the glass, and it's into the netting. So we'll get a whistle and a face-off in the Minnesota zone.
He just teed that up from in close. Tried to find some upstairs territory on Dubnyk. Dubnyk not very busy in this one, but that's how you want to welcome someone to your team. Give him a good welcome by playing solid in front of him. Made a few good saves in the second as he was required. Moved the puck very well as well, giving his defenders a chance to get the puck out of the zone.
That's something to keep an eye on, goaltenders that like to move the puck, because sometimes that can take a while for that chemistry to develop between the goaltender and his defenseman.
Well, he kept it very simple, and keep in mind, big hit there along the boards.
Stewart took a run at Prosser and hammered him in front of the Minnesota bench. And Stewart will go for Buffalo.
Now arguing his case, but Prosser, I don't know if it was roughing, but I don't know if it was an elbow. It was tough to elbow a guy when you're going straight at him, but boy, did he bend him right over the boards there, and man, his back took the brunt of that.
Elbowing the call. Minnesota back on the power play.
But
and
getting back,
perhaps a little message being sent here by Mike Yeo as he's been giving some power play time to some of his other guys, but you're going to start taking runs at our guys. You'll get our first power play unit with 3:15 left in the game.
Quickly getting back to our last point, though, about Dubnyk and the way he moves the puck. Keep in mind, his tandem partner this season was Mike Smith. He's one of the better puck-moving goaltenders in the National Hockey League, so maybe taking a page out of his book in many cases.
Koivu backpedals to the corner. Up high, Spurgeon. Spurgeon waits, now goes back to Koivu. Koivu's return pass was deflected and comes out to neutral ice. Inside 3 minutes left in Buffalo. Dominant performance by the Wild tonight. Dumba to Pominville. Centered, nobody there for Minnesota. Flynn starts it back for the Sabres. Myers tried to regain control as he broke toward the Minnesota goal. Dumba with a strong play to carry ahead for the Wild. Wild changing behind the puck as Dumba plays to the corner. Parisi trying to poke it loose. Flynn has it for the Sabres and sends it high in the air and all the way back into Minnesota territory. Wild will complete their change. Barking going on between Flynn and Parisi as those two head to the bench. Brodin carries ahead for the Wild. Gave it to Vanek, but he lost the handle on it as he entered the Buffalo zone. Haula, Zucker, Vanek now up front for Minnesota. Brodin and Folin at the points on the power play. Folin plays it in. Haula rims it around. Folin unable to hold. And the Wild will have to regroup once more. Half a minute left in the power play. Vanek to Haula. Haula scores! And it's 7-0 for the Wild.
Wild is spreading the wealth around. Haula with a shorthanded assist in this game, and now scores a goal. Quick shot over the glove. Enroth has been very good on the glove side all night long, and the power play goal by Haula gets the Wild up by a touchdown.
Minnesota will put an end to the 6-game losing streak with an exclamation point here in Buffalo. One game after the Wild saw the Penguins break open a close game late and put 7 on the board. The Wild tally 7 against Buffalo. Matches a season high for Minnesota. They had 7 against Tampa Bay earlier this season and a 7-2 win. And the frustrations continue for this Sabres club. Haven't had a regulation win since early December. This will be their 9th consecutive loss, all in regulation. And they've scored a total of 9 goals in those 9 games. Half a minute to go as Stafford plays it in. Brodin chased by Mitchell as he plays to the line. Long shot by Ristolainen, knocked aside by Dubnyk. 17 stops for Dubnyk tonight. 10 of them came in the second period. The first and third, Sabres haven't had much. Brodziak plays it off the glass and out. Fontaine races after it as the horn sounds, and Minnesota puts an end to the losing streak in dominating fashion. 7-0 tonight in Buffalo. And for Devan Dubnyk, it's his 10th career shutout.
And a great welcome to the Minnesota Wild. The Wild played very well in front of him. He made some good saves in this game, but this is the kind of game that the Wild needed. They needed a confident feeling game, and Dubnyk came in and did what he needed to do. Thomas Vanek, though, a great return here to Buffalo. A goal on the power play. He pumped a lot of shots. That's what the Wild want to see from a guy who's a known goal scorer, a guy that shoots the puck. And Vanek had a very good hockey game.
And Tom Hanneman, the Wild will now head into Hockey Day on a positive note after snapping the losing streak in Buffalo tonight.
Anthony, it was just what the Wild wanted and needed. Not just a win, but a blowout win in Buffalo, and their losing streak is stopped. We'll have plenty of post-win reaction, including Mike Yo's thoughts. Wild Live is next.